So nice to be back. I titled this talk In Buddha's Arms. And I use the image of being in Buddha's arms because it's a personal and kind of immediate image and brings us into, reminds us of the body sensation of being in the arms of someone. And it expresses the sense of being in our body, right here and now. And Buddha is nowhere else. So it's just an expedient, as all language is, to bring us right here and point. So we practice this in our very bodies and in the very arms of our life. And we practice being awake or not. We're always practicing something. But with the Dharma practice, we come to practice being awake and aware, paying attention, noticing, appreciating. So I use this image, it just came to me as I started preparing this talk, and I thought, well, of course, I've been with my new granddaughter, who has been in my arms, and I in the arms of just the sweetest feeling there is with a new baby, gazing into her eyes, and she gazing into my eyes. So it was the completeness of presence, the simplicity of presence. And it was just like a sesshin, face to face, a face-to-face retreat, always face to face. No matter what we were doing, whether it was just sitting there, gazing, changing diapers, feeding, whatever was going on. There was nothing in between. Her warmth was my warmth, was my daughter's warmth, was her dad's warmth. And my arms were her pillow. So it was all arising together. And so real and so thoroughly absorbing. And very relaxing, very relaxing. And I was reminded of how this practice actually conditions this ability to relax so completely, with nothing intervening in our life between us and whatever's going on at the moment. With babies, we just need to be right here, but we always just need to be right here. And being with the baby is an experience of face-to-face, and this is a face-to-face practice. Instantaneous, and it's beyond thinking. Zen is beyond thinking. Thinking is irrelevant in the practice of Zen, although it's ever present. If your mind is like mine, there's always thinking going on, except occasionally, there arises a profound quiet. And most of us have known this, although we may not have noticed it. We may have experienced this doing just about anything that we really are absorbed in. And usually we become really absorbed in something that we love doing. So is that loving another person? Is that petting the dog? Is it cooking? Is it playing music? So we say that Zen is a face-to-face tradition. And how do we understand this face-to-face tradition? And how do we realize it? Actually, we realize it. How do we manifest it? It's really easy when you're with a baby, or whether you're a puppy, or a kitten. Anything cute. But how do we realize it with whatever is going on and with whomever we are, or if we're just by ourselves? This kind of profound, relaxed, whole and complete presence with nothing missing, free of pretense and free of self-consciousness. And sometimes self-consciousness is the thing that brings us to Zen practice. I know that was true for myself. I just remember there was one particular moment walking down a very steep hill in Seattle and realizing I am so self-conscious. I can barely walk. And nobody was around. It was such a striking moment. So when we take advantage of Zazen, and Zazen is a time to drop everything, all tension, all self-consciousness, all concerns, and just be. It's a time of just being, nothing to do. Although we can sometimes, when we come and begin a session of meditation, we can get busy, doing. I don't know if you've had that experience, but sometimes I realize, I'm pretty busy doing nothing. So I wanted to mention Mother Mira, who came to my mind. Anybody here heard of Mother Mira? Yeah. She's regarded as a sacred embodiment of the divine feminine. And she doesn't offer spoken teachings, but simply appears as she is and offers darshan to whomever wants it. And when we say she offers darshan, it sounds like she's offering something. What is the something that she's offering? Because she just sits there and looks in your eyes with a completely relaxed face, just like a baby. And you may, when your turn in the line has come, so some of her devotees brought her here a few years back, and she offered darshan, and there were about 1,000 people who showed up. A lot of people, lots and lots. Long line for darshan. And so it was a long time coming. And then you got in front of her, and could you be as open and as relaxed as you look into her eyes? You've never met her. So the immediate thing that came up was this presentation of self, where it was completely irrelevant and unnecessary. Very interesting experience. Very intimate encounter, face to face. And it prompted a couple of different states of mind simultaneously. One was very profound concentration, profound concentrated state. And then, which rendered inactive thought. Does that sound like anything you know of? Zazen. There are so many different traditions, but in a number of traditions, a number of traditions tap this practice of presence, talking about it different ways, offering different methods to tap it, where thoughts are irrelevant. And so that means we sometimes talk about stopping thought. We can get very busy trying to stop thought. Sometimes thought just stops, and it is very quiet. But it's not necessary to stop your thoughts, but to recognize thought. So Mother Mira was considered sacred. I think she's still alive. She's not that old even. And so that this face-to-face, momentary, complete, wide-open presence is what we call sacred, because it partakes of timelessness. There's no sense of time. There's no sense of time. It's very intimate and kind of vast. Sacred, yes. Ordinary, yes. Not separate from the ordinary, from our own usual equipment. It's just how it's used, how we live into it. Our inner condition, how open are we to our inner conditions? How open are we to the outer conditions? Our sensations, our moods, the meaning that things have to us, the significance. The significance of relationships and interactions and activities, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant or not marked by anything like that, otherwise known as neutral. So we think about whether we're willing to be that open and to experience the wholeness of any moment or every moment. Looking directly at a person or a hummingbird or a newt crossing the path in a hurry, or the chair sitting in that streak of sunlight by the window, or waiting on the checkout line at Home Depot. You might be filled with a sense of the fullness of this, the companionship of life and the people and all the stuff at Home Depot. There's so much stuff. You can find anything you need at a good price. So anytime, anywhere, letting it all in. This is one of the gifts that continuous practice brings to us, opens up for us, one of the possibilities. We don't do Zazen to get anything. That's hopeless to do that. You're not going to get anything. But there's something mysterious about the transformation that comes when returning regularly to just being. What that does, how that nurtures something, our ability to experience the largeness, the continuousness of our life. Face to face. This is the arms of Buddha, arms of our Buddha nature. Looking into each other's eyes. When have you done this recently with somebody? Maybe that's why we love our dogs so much. It's so safe to look into the eyes of our dog. You can't look into the eyes of any dog because some are very set off by that. But your own dog, we can look into their eyes. And usually we only do this kind of thing. We only gaze into the eyes of someone that we love. Because doing so releases us into an openness and vulnerability beyond what we're socially accustomed to allowing. So if we experiment with this, try it, and you may notice, I mean, working with eye-to-eye contact can help us detect how much we approach our everyday affairs with a protective shell. Not because we're aware of danger, although sometimes yes, or because we're being defensive, but just because we're used to being in a hurry. We're used to being only partially present, having an agenda, serving purpose, or using each other as functionaries. We function for each other. So we have a habit of not being too intimate in any one moment and with most others. But most crucial, as we dig into Zen practice, is discovering that we may not be intimate with our own experience. We're not usually still enough. It may not even occur to us. Intimacy requires attention, interest, an inmost quality of stillness and openness, which is why when we're really underway in our practice, so much comes up. And so it can be that we come to practice with an experience of, oh, now I'm going to have bliss. And yeah, there are moments of that, there can be. But mostly, for a long time, we begin to uncover all of the muck of our karma, of the things that we haven't paid attention to, that are still affecting us, constraining us, limiting us, hurting us, and motivating us to hurt others. So conditions have to be really right. Conditions for this inmost stillness and openness, and hopefully we cultivate that together in our practice together in the Sangha. But it also the conditions can be right for this kind of inmost stillness in a lot of different settings. Taking a hike, often, being in the woods or at the ocean, listening to music or playing music, or cooking, or painting, or cuddling, can elicit this kind of deep relaxation, intimacy, dropping our defenses against otherness, other person or activity or environment. Because we're that relaxed. There is no other. So this brought to mind as I was thinking about this, just a sensation of pleasure, which we don't talk about a whole lot, but let's do it. If we're caught up in the usual hubbub of everyday life, we may or may not experience pleasure. I mean, do you experience pleasure every day? It's good for your health. So I was at a concert the other night of Brazilian music, if I may talk about this for a minute, played by our own Gene and his band. And I noted how there was a distinct lack of tension or conflict in the sensations arising within the sounds and rhythms, and the voices of the instruments arising within me and without me simultaneously. This is Brazilian music, a lot of samba, a lot of clarinet. And what was the stringed?
Bandolim.
Bandolim. And a fantastic drum. and then a regular guitar? Is that
7 strings.
7-string guitar. Remarkable sounds, wonderful. Love. The song of love. It was all love. And and samba joy. And beyond spoken language. It had nothing to do, we didn't need language. No tension, except the tensions that build rhythm. You know, what are the rhythms of your own life? Those are tensions. The rhythms of a schedule, the rhythms of the season. There are tensions, there's transition, there's endings and beginnings. That's all the kind of natural tensions. And there's no problem with those. That's how we move along. And so the rhythms of this wonderful music would rise and crest and open in the freedom that comes with when we are outside of language. And it felt like flight. The sounds of larger life and beyond culture, beyond distance, beyond, very spacious, timeless, intimate. Free from conception, conceptualness, not free from conception. Please, not that. So I think of the line from the medieval text, the cloud of unknowing. I think I've mentioned that before. The eyes with which I see God are the eyes with which God sees me. And I thought of that line during the concert. The ears with which I hear God are the ears with which God hears me. Pure spirit. A confluence of sound and being. Each samba note rolling through the body. Between the instruments and the human hearing hearts. It was very much like the Zendo during retreat when everybody's very, very settled. So there's a line in the Dharma Rain translation of Vespers, the Vespers ceremony, and the line is, "My life is the completion of meaning." What a mysterious and wonderful phrase. My life is the completion of meaning. If somebody were to ask me, what is samadhi? I would say, it is, my life is the completion of meaning. It's complete. It's fulfilled. It's fully full. Completely empty. Choose your word. Because the experience lies outside of any words we use to describe. And the experience of our life lies outside any words that we use to describe. So what is meaning? And I thought, okay, so what is the definition of meaning? So I went to the American Heritage Dictionary, which I love, and it says, meaning is functional value. And another definition is inner significance. So then, what is the functional value of this very moment? You know, in a unified heart-mind where we know our own completeness, where we have awakened, this very moment itself is incredibly valuable. It's the only opportunity that we ever have to experience value and meaning. It's perfect. As we consider all these words in the talk and all these concepts about experience, we're studying the Dharma of our lives. We use words to study the Dharma of our lives. And then as we stop studying and thinking about our experience and just come face to face as we do in Zazen, where you can just be simple and open and experience the authority of this present moment, whatever fills it. So let's be quiet together for just a minute. What fills this moment in your experience? Can you feel your heart beating? Can you sense the energy field that we are all generating together? If we remember that we all have the mind of Buddha, Buddha mind, Buddha nature, which is open. The Buddha said of it, in full awakening, there is no beginning. It is original and unguarded essence. All conditioned phenomena arise from it. And yet it is among those phenomena that beings lose track of their completeness. The completion of meaning. So all these words in this talk are just to urge directly experiencing your life. That's always what a Dharma talk is all pointing at. And dropping the constant chatter of words about it all as it comes and goes continually. The conditions of life, yours and mine, are always changing. Continuous and discontinuous. With no place to perch, although we have a tendency to perch and to hold on to our perch. So only right here and only right now and only for now, for this moment. So I want to share with you a segment of a very long poem from a book by Robert Kelly, who was a teacher of mine. And the title of the book is The Flowers of Unceasing Coincidence. Present moment, unceasing coincidence. And I want to say, don't try to understand it. Don't try to understand this poem. Robert Kelly, I met him the first day of my college career, the first class. He gave a talk, and the title and the subject of the talk was the word if. And I was just stunned by what an interesting idea. And anyway, so this is the way he is, okay? So don't try to understand it, just let it affect you. And his patterns of meaning. So here it is. It is not from nowhere. Nowhere comes. And the glisten on ink in sunlight comes. Not from ink and not from sun. It comes from coming. And then the going comes that intercedes for everything that comes. In this way, gods are made, and fact imagined into shape, and shape erased, to leave a hunger for that lucid doubt of which truth is the most urgent fiction. He just sweeps all meaning away. You're just kind of in the moment of the phrase only, and then it's gone. Let me do it again. It's kind of an annoying poem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You can't settle and feel like, oh, nice. Okay, it is not from nowhere. Nowhere comes. And the glisten on ink in sunlight comes not from ink and not from sun. It comes from coming. And then the going comes that intercedes for everything that comes in this way, that intercedes for everything that comes. In this way, gods are made, and fact imagined into shape, and shape erased to leave a hunger for that lucid doubt of which truth is the most urgent fiction. So, Zen is our own lives, where we all practice joyfully together and persist.
Please turn to page 5.